Good morning, everyone. Happy Buddha Day. Thank you for participating our Betsuin Buddha Day service. This year, we fortunately have Dr. Dexter Mar, President Hawaii Betsuin, as our speaker. Through this service, I hope all of you celebrate, appreciate, and gratitude to the Shakyamuni Buddha. Now, let's start service. At first, Vandana and Ti-Sarana.
Om Aloha, and thank you, Rinbam Hagio, for inviting me to share my thoughts with all of you today on this Buddha Day 2021. I'm Dexter Mar, Hawaii Betsuin member, Minister Lay Assistant, and President of the Board. The title of my talk today is Be the Refuge. The idea comes from a version of the Vandana and Ti-Sarana. I go to the Buddha for refuge. I go to the Dhamma for refuge. I go to the Sangha for refuge. Traditionally, going for refuge is an initiation in which one officially becomes a Buddhist. It's a rite of passage ceremony that marks a formal commitment. We go for refuge because we're determined to overcome our suffering and to help others overcome their suffering. Be the refuge is a challenge to be the wish you want for the world. But first, a brief comment on the pandemic. Last April 11th, in week 15, the US COVID-19 death toll was about 20,000. After our first bump in new cases in March, Hawaii was in a lull with new cases of less than 10 from April to July. After multiple surges, the new infections are still about 50 today, and vaccinations are underway. Namo Amida Butsu for the diligence of Hawaii's people and America's medical scientific community for making progress in fighting this global virus. We go to vaccinations and masks for refuge. On this 2,644th birthday of Siddhartha Gautama, who would become the Buddha, it is said he proclaimed, "Above and below the heavens, I alone am the world-honored one." Now, this sounds oddly arrogant, but this can be taken to mean that he was destined to lead the way to the truth for everyone. The truth, as Siddhartha realized, is captured in his famed teachings, including the 3 marks, the 4 noble truths, the Eightfold Path, the 6 paramitas, and the golden chain of love, amongst others. As we celebrate Buddha Day, I'd like to share some thoughts on one of the 3 major American social fault lines, racism, the others being gender and social economic class. Racism has been top of mind recently. Since the COVID-19 pandemic started, we have experienced a coincident surge in anti-Asian violence on the mainland, though we should not be complacent in Hawaii, as the Kauai police chief insensitivity incidents reminds us. Racism is a part of the fabric of American and global societies. Anti-Asianism is part of a more generalized pattern of violence against people of color and/or immigrants. Until COVID, Asian Americans and Asian immigrants were largely considered the model minority since the 1970s and usually overlooked in the continuing focus on those of Arabic, African, and Hispanic descent. The pendulum has swung back to focus on Asians due to the coronavirus and growing power of China. The model minority privilege card is so easily revoked by the attitudes of racial superiority. So what would Buddha Siddhartha think about our current racial issues in the USA? In the time of Siddhartha Gautama, India's social order was dominated by the caste system, which was also very discriminatory. Though highly born in royalty, Siddhartha rejected his heritage, denounced the caste system, and taught that a person's actions are a measure of who he is, whether a priest or outcast. He denounced the authority of Brahmin priests, their scripture, and their rituals. He welcomed outcasts. So channeling the Buddha, the current divisiveness in America would likely be considered a world of suffering that needed mending. His teachings were the answer to how do we change. From the Dhammapada, verse 5, he teaches, hate never stops hate. Hate is stopped by the absence of hate. This is an eternal rule. And what would Shinran think about our current racial issues in the US? Shinran too rejected the Japanese caste system and taught the Nembutsu path to all who came and gave rise to populist Buddhism after centuries of elitism and exclusivity. Shinran might view American racism as oppressive as the monarchy, samurai, priestly, and merchant classes. His teachings and actions were the answer to how do we change? How do we change the anti-Asian hate in the air today? We are usually reminded to look inward before venturing outward. Perhaps we should start by examining our own complicity in oppressive systems. In Hawaii, as American locals, third, fourth, and fifth generation immigrants, how do we feel about newly immigrated Pan-Asian and Pacific Islanders? Are we able to apply our Buddhist values to our own Asian and Pacific Islander ohana? Then, how about Black, Latinx, and Arabic folks? The idea of systemic racism is a two-way street which needs to be confronted with mindfulness and recognition that we're all in the same small boat. Perhaps the path out of divisiveness is solidarity, standing together, as shown in the June 22nd, 2019 March at Fort Sill, Oklahoma by Suru for Solidarity. What can I do? We can look at Buddhist teachings for guidance. How about the Eightfold Path as a do something outline? First, listen. Drop your guard and opinion, hear others. 2, be curious. Learn the facts about racism, or learn the facts about anti-racism. Google a lot. Talk and hold dialogues. Find your voice through conversations. Give. Donate money and or time to anti-racism causes. Join. Become a member of an anti-racism cause. March. Participate in an anti-racism event. Organize. Help set up and help organize an anti-racism event. Lead. Become a leader of an anti-racism event. So listen, be curious, talk, give, join, march, organize, and lead. Now, as we struggle with anti-Asian hate, let's also look at anti-Asian Buddhist disregard in American Buddhism as an example of how racial superiority permeates even into our spiritual foundation. Charles Prebish, the noted American Penn State University scholar, coined the term two Buddhisms in 1978 to describe how Buddhism in America had developed into white Buddhism and ethnic Asian Buddhism. Today, we increasingly consider meditation-centered white Buddhism a takeover of an Asian cultural tradition by racially superior American Buddhism. Pushback from young Asian Buddhists began in 2009 with an internet blog, Angry Asian Buddhist, which called out the leading American Buddhist magazines, Tricycle, Buddha Dharma, Lion's Roar, Shambhala Sun, as marginalizing Asian American Buddhists by proclaiming, "We've been here all along." With this uncomfortable thought in mind, I'd like to introduce you to a new author, Chenzeng Han, who just published Be the Refuge, Raising the Voices of Asian American Buddhists in January 2021. Ms. Han is a California Bay Area-based scholar author who holds a BA from Stanford University and an MA in Buddhist Studies from Buddhist Churches of America, Institute for Buddhist Studies, Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, California, where she studied and served as a hospital chaplain in Oakland. Be the Refuge is a breath of fresh air in Chenzing's exploration of Buddhism in America through the stories of 89 Asian Americans of various Buddhist paths, including Jodo Shinshu. As a graduate of the Institute of Buddhist Studies, which is located in the Jodo Shinshu Center in Berkeley, Ms. Han became intimately connected to Shin Buddhist teachings and history. Interviews took place from 2012 to 2014 with young adult, mostly single 20 to 30-year-old Asian Americans. The book provides insights into two American Buddhisms, one white, meditation, retreat centered, and the other Asian, traditional, ritualistic, exotic, monastic, shaved head Buddhism. Author Han offers hope that Asian American Buddhists will step out of the shadows of marginalization by American culture and better express their deeply rooted historical traditions to better illuminate the diversity and Buddhist traditions and give more depth to American Buddhism. Part 1, Trailblazers, explores the Jodo Shinshu contribution and deep historic roots as the pioneers of Buddhism in America. Part 2, Bridge Builders, explores second-generation Asian Americans from post-1965 immigrant families and their experiences adjusting to an American Christian landscape while trying to understand their parents' Buddhism. Part 3, Integrators, looks at those Asian Americans discovering or rediscovering Buddhist paths as new converts to the Dharma. Refuge Makers, Part 4, combines parts 1, 2, and 3 to rewrite the narrative of American Buddhisms from two Buddhisms, white and Asian, to a holistic Buddhist understanding that celebrates the diversity and solidarity of Buddhist values. As Tenzing closes her book, she writes, "May the book cultivate the curiosity, generosity, goodwill, and interconnectedness that shaped it into being." Key takeaways for me are Asian Buddhists are diverse and invisible, even to each other. Diversity is good. Solidarity is better. 3, anger is a fire alarm for what is important. 4, constructive anger is good. Destructive anger is hate. Please consider reading Be the Refuge, available on Amazon Books. I'm happy to announce that Chenzing Han will be the Hawaii Betsuin 2021 Bloom Futaba Memorial Lecture on October 23rd, live and in person. So please bring your copy of the Be the Refuge for an author signature, and stay tuned for details. In closing, as a way to celebrate this special occasion of Buddha's birthday, let's reconsider the personal meaning of being Buddhist and what is a Buddhist. It's the persistent question of what do I say when someone asks, what is Buddhism and why are you a Buddhist? We need the elevator talk to become more visible as Buddhists, even to each other. What I do is first consider who's asking. Usually the person that's asking is totally unfamiliar with Buddhism, having grown up in American Christian culture. So my answer is not a Buddhism 101 lecture in 2 minutes. Instead, my reply reflects what's different than Christian beliefs and why don't I believe in what you do. Though the response may vary depending on my life circumstances at the time, generally the main idea I try to convey is awareness. Our Buddhist teachings guide me to be more aware of how intensely connected we are to each other, to the things around us, and the circumstances that unfold in cosmic rhythm. Awareness of my own foolish humanness. Awareness of others' struggles and conditions. Awareness of nature's abundant gifts. Awareness of the preciousness of life. Some might call this awareness realization or awakening or enlightenment. For me, being a Buddhist is trying to live my life filled with day-to-day awareness. Awareness leads to hope. Through always being supported and surrounded by our planet, Earth, the sun, the stars, and the universe. So back to how do we respond? What's Buddhism about? With thoughts of be the refuge in mind, my awareness now includes awareness of the American Christian perspective, awareness of the white Buddhism bias and an Asian American Buddhist disregard, awareness of the need to advocate for historical and diverse Buddhist traditions, awareness that our place in American Buddhism is being defined by us today, and awareness that solidarity of diverse cultures is the next step in the American immigrant story. As all American Buddhists, on this Buddha Day, let's continue to embrace the world-honored one's teachings. As his death approached, the Buddha said to those who were gathered around him, "Be the light unto yourself. Betake yourself of no external refuge. Hold fast to the truth. Look not for refuge to anyone else besides yourself. Be the refuge. Be visible Asian Americans and Asian American Buddhists." Thank you again, Rinpoche Hagyo, for the opportunity to gather and share my thoughts for you on this happy Buddha Day. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Now, even you receive the vaccination, please keep distance and stay safe and peace. Someday, we looking forward to seeing you. Thank you very much. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.